What's up, you guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Fit Women's Weekly Podcast. I hope that you are having an amazing day and that you are ready to learn a little bit, improve your life, because every single day, my goal is to wake up and be a better person than I was yesterday. And that doesn't just mean being a better person to my friends and family, but also being a better person to myself and educating myself. And that is what I try to put out there with this podcast. So if you are brand new to the Fit Women's Weekly Podcast, welcome. I hope that you hear something in this episode that makes you want to either continue listening. I shouldn't say either, that makes you want to continue listening to future episodes and go back and check out previous episodes, because at this point, there are over 475 podcast episodes. Y'all, that blows my freaking mind. I cannot believe that. But yeah, here we are. I continue to come back week after week, and I continue to come up with new topics to discuss. And that's obviously because of you guys. I love hearing from you. So any questions that you have or topics that you want to see covered on future episodes, never hold back. All you got to do is hop over to Instagram, Kendall Boyle Fitness, drop into my DMs with your questions. Feel free to email me, kendall@fitwomensweekly.com. Or if you are listening to this on YouTube, you could also leave your thoughts and your comments down below in the comment section. But of course, be nice. Only leave nice things. Only leave good feedback and great questions. Though there's no, well, I would say that there's no such thing as a bad question, but there are such things as bad questions. Anyways, y'all, today has been insane. I almost thought that I wasn't going to be able to get this podcast recorded, at least video wise. It has been my goal for the past couple of months to do every Wednesday podcast episode also as video for YouTube. And I was really nervous that I wouldn't be able to get that done. But I was like, you know what, Kendall, that is your goal. Knock it out. So here we are. I needed to be able to sit down and talk with you. This is something that I do in my day that is relaxing. To me, I look at this as my coffee talk with my girlfriends. And I know that that's what it is like for you guys as well. So yeah, I'm glad to be able to do that. But so far this morning, I've gone for a run. I edited some videos, which is what's caused most of this day to be chaotic. If you are a Dropbox user, so I switched from using just a hard drive to using Dropbox. It has totally messed up my computer. I only say that because I didn't realize that every time it synced, it was also saving it to my documents. So all of a sudden I've run out of all the space. I am going back and fixing it, but the chaos of what it has already done has not been fixed yet. So trying to edit video and then export video, I'm about to pull my hair out, because every time I go to do something, it's like, there's not enough space to save. There's not enough space to export. And then it just all together crashes. But anyways, I hope that I've at least gotten it figured out. And then I had some more videos to record with my girlfriend, Kara. She's been helping me out with that. I had to go to the post office to get some stuff out, come back here, ate some lunch, which was a hamburger and some sausage and a little ricotta cheese. I did have a few spoonfuls of, don't tell the hardcore people, but I did have a little bit of tahini just because it sounded really, really good. And that kind of goes into today's topic, which is about intuitive eating. Yes, I am mostly animal based right now, but if something sounds really good to me, especially if it's something high fat, I don't feel bad about doing a tahini every once in a while, having a couple of spoonfuls. That's pretty much all that I've been digging into, because I freaking love nut butter, but I'm not like beating myself up if I go off a little bit. So yeah, things have been going really well with that, but it does bring me to today's topic, which is, can you lose weight with intuitive eating? I get this question a lot because I get it. Not everybody wants to track when it comes to their macros or tracking their calories using MyFitnessPal or whatever kind of tracking software that you have. So there is that question, can I do it without tracking? And more importantly, I think that the words we use are really, really important. And I get the specific question, can you lose weight with intuitive eating? Now, before we jump into it, let's first actually discuss what is intuitive eating. So I went over to intuitiveeating.org, and I am reading this straight off of my show notes, which this is what they have to say. Intuitive eating is a self-care eating framework which integrates instinct, emotion, and rational thought, and was created by two dietitians, Evelyn Tribal and Elise Rush, in 1995. Intuitive eating is a weight-inclusive, evidence-based model with a validated assessment scale and over 100 studies to date. Don't worry, we're not done yet. And this explanation was written by Evelyn Tribble. So straight out of the horse's mouth with this. Moving on. It's a personal and dynamic process, which includes 10 different principles. 1, reject the diet mentality. 2, honor your hunger. 3, make peace with food. 4, challenge the food police. 5, respect your fullness. 6, discover the satisfaction factor. 7, honor your feelings without using food. 8, respect your body. 9, exercise, feel the difference. And 10, honor your health with gentle nutrition. So that leaves for a lot of room to kind of use your own interpretations and take that how you want. But the principle works in 2 ways. Again, this is still reading off of their website. Number 1, by helping you cultivate attunement to the physical sensations that arise from within your body to get both your biological and your psychological needs met. And 2, removing the obstacles and disturbers in attunement, which usually comes from the mind in the form of rules, beliefs, and thoughts. The process of intuitive eating is a practice which honors both physical and mental health. Intuitive eating is aligned with health at every size because the pursuit of intentional weight loss is a failed paradigm, which creates health problems, including weight stigma, weight cycling, and eating disorders. All bodies deserve dignity and respect. So all of that, first off, is written very researchy. As a blog writer and somebody who writes copy for businesses and for my own business, that kind of leaves you going, wait, what? What is that supposed to say? Right? But at the end of the day, what it makes me realize is that intuitive eating isn't about weight loss, right? So let's dive just a little bit more through this. Can you lose weight through intuitive eating? Yes, but it's going to be hard. Just what I read sounds like, does what I just read sound like a method of weight loss? No, it's more of a intentional methodology to gaining a better relationship with food or staying at maintenance. You eat when you're hungry, you eat what you're craving, you stop when you're full, all of those sorts of things. And at the end of the day, I'm going to guess if you're at a point in your life where you have extra body fat that you want to lose, that you're not necessarily in tune with those ideas. You're not in tune with stopping when you are full. You're not in tune at fulfilling your cravings without going a little bit overboard, right? So those are some things to take into consideration if you decide that you want to start focusing more on an intuitive method, but weight loss is still your goal. But I do understand that some people, depending on your backgrounds or your mental health, want to avoid tracking, whether it's your calories or your macros or both when it comes to weight loss, especially if you have some sort of history with disordered eating. I know that my disordered eating habits when I was younger really started when I started tracking my food. It was like, oh my gosh, if I could eat this much today, how little can I eat tomorrow? So I understand if that is where you're coming from, then absolutely tracking is not for you. And in that case, if you do have extra body fat that would be in your your best interest to lose when it comes to health or just feeling good, because there also shouldn't be the stigma that if you want to change your body in some way, as long as you're doing it in a healthy way, you should be able to do that. And that's kind of where the people that are so hardcore about intuitive eating lose my interest, because they make you feel a little guilty. And that's even kind of what that explanation was saying, that with the stigma of body weight and body shape, that you shouldn't want to change your body. You shouldn't have vanity. At the end of the day, we're all a little bit vain. So if you do have any good reasons for not wanting to track, then it's okay. You don't have to track. And I'm going to give some tips here in just a second. But if you're trying to avoid tracking just because you don't want to put in the work, then because you're like, oh, it's such a pain in the butt to use a tracker, yada, 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 whatever the excuses might be, then if that's the case, then I might just say, how bad do you want it? Because at the end of the day, tracking is very helpful. It is very beneficial. And it's, if you don't know where you're at right now, how do you know where you're going? Right? Does that make sense? So while intuitive eating might be the goal for everybody, which I think it should, right? We should not have to track food. We shouldn't have to think about food. We shouldn't have to map out our food for the rest of our lives. Intuitive eating, I feel, is the end goal, but that doesn't mean that it has to be the goal right now. I think that tracking, whether it's with macros, calories, even just the idea of intuitive eating, once again, it's the fitness and the nutrition industry overcomplicating things. So tracking absolutely does have its place, just like intuitive eating has its place. But I see intuitive eating as the goal to get to, and not necessarily the path to take, depending on what your goals today are. Does that make sense? I mean, I'm hoping that this really, really makes sense, but trying to eat intuitive for weight loss can be really difficult, because if you can't eat intuitively right now at maintenance, again, if you have extra body weight that you're trying to lose, or you're gaining weight right now and you don't want to be gaining weight, then do you have the skills to eat intuitively to change your body? It's like I said, it's kind of like trying to drive someplace you've never been without a map. So how can you get you to your destination without knowing where you need to go? And that's where tracking for maintenance becomes important, so that you can see what you're doing and then kind of learn of what you need to tweak. And that's probably the easiest, where you're not necessarily trying to hit specific macros or even specific goals, but you can get an idea of where you're at. And then you can kind of say like, wow, I see that I'm really snacking at 3 o'clock and I probably don't need a snack, or I'm starving by lunchtime and I end up eating 2 times the amount I probably should for lunch and not really paying attention to portion sizes. Maybe I should be having a bigger breakfast to help fuel me up, so that I'm not getting hangry by time lunch rolls around. And that's where tracking can really be beneficial. So there are a couple of things to consider when it comes to a healthy mindset with your body and the goals, and why tracking is superior. So number one, we all want to eat as much as we can, even when we're trying to lose weight, right? So if you're blindly making nutritional cuts, then how do you know if you're cutting out too many calories and you're going too much into a deficit, or you're eating too few calories and you're not going to see the results that you want, right? Sometimes you make this idea, and most of the time that's with fad diets, where if you're trying to blindly go and you're just like, I'm going to go on this diet, then you end up eating too few calories. And so you might initially lose weight, but you're going to burn out really fast and fall back into your old habits. Where just the opposite, maybe you're not cutting calories enough and you don't realize it, but you're at maintenance mode. Maybe you're still going a little bit overboard with your calories, because at the end of the day, to lose weight, it does come into calories in, calories out. And of course, the type of calories you eat is important. I remember when they used to not say that 1,000 calories of Twinkies is the same as 1,000 calories of chicken breast. We now know that that is not the case, that our body does react different. But if you're not tracking those things, how do you know? So that's where macro and calorie counting really does allow you to see what you're doing and what you need to do. Also, tracking allows more room for experimentation. It's really cool. I read this actually in Emily's book. Emily is going to be on my podcast next week, where instead of thinking of what do you need to do in order to, like, if you're thinking about, oh, I need to lose weight, I need to lose weight. What if you looked at your body like an experiment and said, what would happen if? What would happen if I track my macros for 30 days? What would happen if I cut out all added sugar for 30 days? What would happen if I drank a gallon of water for 30 days? And when you change it to think like that, it also changes your mindset. But when you make it feel more like an experiment, then that makes it a lot more fun and holds you a lot more accountable, and you're more likely to stick with it. So maybe you can look at it more as, what would happen if I eat my body weight in protein every day? What would happen if I ate 40% of my nutrition from carbs? What would happen if I stuck to 30% of my nutrition from fat? Those ratios can affect how your body burns fat and how your body fuels itself. And everybody's going to be a little bit different depending on your lifestyle, your hormones, your age, your body shape, your genetics, all of those kind of things. But having numbers and data in front of you can hold you accountable to seeing the results. Which takes me to point number 3, which is hold you accountable by tracking in some way. And I'm going to talk about different ways where you don't have to use MyFitnessPal, sees what you're doing and what you're not doing, but you're also more likely to stay compliant because you're writing things down or you're keeping track of things. Whereas if you're trying to go into things more intuitively, even though you know, like, okay, I'm trying to lose weight, if you're not tracking anything, it's much more easy to say, intuitively, I'm craving cake right now, so I'm going to eat some cake. Whereas if you're keeping track of things, and even if you are craving cake, you're able to kind of have more control over your body and say, I don't need the cake, right? It just allows for a little more justification that we may not need if we are trying to hit goals right now, which for this particular podcast is talking about fat loss. So again, back to the topic. Can you lose weight, AKA body fat? That's what I want to focus on, without counting calories or tracking food? Yes. And here are a couple of ways to do that. Number one, increase your daily activity, AKA your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Neat. Isn't that pretty neat? Get more steps in, fidget. Obviously, I talk with my hands a lot, take the stairs, just get more movement in throughout the day. Exercise is a great way to burn calories. It's a great way to tell your body you need to build muscle mass, which does help increase your metabolism, but it is a very small percentage of everything. Whereas NEAT can take up a very big percentage of your daily caloric expenditure. So just try to move as much as you can. If you work out for an hour, but then you sit down for 8 hours, you are not doing a lot to help with that NEAT ability. So set a timer, maybe every 40 minutes, go walk to the kitchen, or maybe not kitchen because that doesn't really help with what we're talking about, but go walk somewhere in your office, go walk to the stairs, go walk to your car, walk back. So that's some sort of movement goal to have. Not only is it going to help you move your body more, but taking those little breaks about every 40 to 50 minutes also helps with your productivity. In fact, I think that every job should make it mandatory for their employees to take a 5-minute break every 45 to 60 minutes. Number two, focus more on proper portions. You don't have to measure things out because that's not the point of this episode, but it is important to focus on proper portions, skipping seconds, avoid mindless eating, eating nutrient-dense foods that take up a lot of space. So if you are trying to eat healthier, but you still want to feel like you're eating a lot, maybe instead of eating burgers and fries, start focusing more on nutrient-dense foods like a salad, trying to get as much food on your plate that doesn't take up a lot of caloric count in the day. So a big salad with maybe some buffalo chicken on top or something like that. Eat more at home, avoid going out. Eating out is the devil. So in terms of you don't know what kind of food you're getting, most likely you are going to be getting some sort of processed sugar. You're going to get some seed oils in there. It's very, very hard to stick with your goals when you are eating out, not to mention you're kind of at the mercy of their portion sizes because you're paying for food, especially the prices right now. It's really hard to back off and listen to that intuitive voice in your head that says you should only eat half of this. So it's just easier, eat at home, cut alcohol, increase water. Cannot say this enough. Not only will you feel better, it helps your metabolism, you look better, your skin is better, you sleep better. Hydrate. Start with 80 ounces a day and then slowly add up. If you can get to a gallon, awesome. Some people thrive off of a gallon. Some people don't. Listen to your body. Everybody's different. Make protein the star of each of your meals. Most of us have such a hard time getting our protein in because it's more of just the afterthought. If you are right now eating about 4 ounces of chicken, but you're still not getting proper protein in, there's no harm in increasing it to 5 ounces of chicken. I think a lot of times we get stuck in our head that this is what they say is a serving size. No, a serving size is just there to help you figure out the math of what you are putting into your body. Serving sizes are not carved in stone and you can tweak them. So if you're not getting enough protein with what you're doing, increase your protein serving per meal to help you with that. And then make the other stuff just a little, make that more of the side thought versus the protein. So focus each meal on the protein, add your veggies, add your healthy carbs, and go from there. Keep a daily journal of your thoughts. If you don't want to actually track your food with MyFitnessPal, at least just keep a little daily journal, just kind of putting in there, how do you feel today? How did you feel yourself? How did your workouts feel? How was your energy? How was your sleep? You're not actually tracking your food, but you are tracking something that can be related And that can help you stay on board with things so that when you go back and be like, man, that day I ate really, really clean and I felt amazing. That can help you to repeat that the following day. Do regular weigh-ins. I know that none of us want to do this, right? We don't like getting on a scale, but if you're capable, as far as your mental mindset is concerned, where you're not looking at a scale and it's yelling at you that you're a failure or that you're not doing things right, if you're able to stand on the scale and strictly look at it as data points, then get on a scale on a daily basis and see, is what you're doing working? Since you're not tracking your numbers with your calories, you can't just say, hey, if I cut out 500 calories per day, I'm going to lose 1 pound per week. Since you don't know that for sure, the only way to really know what you're doing is through weigh-ins and progress pictures, which progress pictures is the next tip that I would give to anybody. And then when it actually comes to choosing your food options, there's absolutely nothing wrong with choosing the leaner options for things. So if you want to kind of stick to your normal nutrition, let's say you're in maintenance food, you don't want to change too much, but you still do want to lose a little bit of weight. What you could do is starting to choose leaner options over those items. So if you're used to eating like an 80% ground beef, start choosing bison instead, which is really lean. And that is going to have far less calories. Instead of choosing whole milk, which for some people is great, I love using whole milk, maybe choose a 1%. Now, obviously, if you're only using milk in your coffee, then that is such a small amount. It's not going to make that big of a difference. But if you do that with several different items throughout the day, maybe your cheeses, maybe you're choosing a vegetable instead of fries, whatever the case is, those things can really add up throughout the day. And you are able to cut out about 500 to 1,000 calories per day. 1,000 calories only being for if you have room to cut 1,000 calories. I don't say that for a lot of people. So yeah, overall, it can be done, but it's still going to take effort no matter what. I preach this over and over. If you have listened to this podcast, you know you have heard me say this. In order to make change, you have to change. And change is never easy for anybody. And we get into a routine of things. We don't like getting off of our routine. Our body doesn't like getting off of our routine. And one other thing that I should say is when we do that, in order to lose weight, you have to cut calories, right? And of course, we want to feel energized, but at the end of the day, your body is going to go, oh my gosh, I'm eating less than what I'm used to. So it's normal for at least the first week or so to feel a little bit hungry. So if we were to listen to those intuitive eating skills, right, then what's that saying is that if you're hungry, then you need to honor that hunger and you need to eat. But if you're trying to lose weight, you just have to expect that, no, maybe you just need to go drink some water, drink some electrolytes, and remind yourself that you are purposely cutting your calories in order to get to an end goal. So again, that's where that dichotomy of like, is intuitive eating what I really need right now versus focused on specific nutrition goals in order to make sustainable weight loss? Because I just don't want anybody to go through and do a fad diet trying to lose weight. Whereas if they were tracking in a healthy manner, they're learning healthy habits, they're learning healthier recipes that they can take with them in order to make those results long-term, and you don't have to do it again. So hopefully this has helped. If you have questions, let me know. If you watch this on YouTube, comment down below, letting me know your nutrition questions. And if you're listening to this on a podcast platform, thank you so much. Make sure that you subscribe and leave a review. I honestly really do love hearing from you guys. And if any topics are on your mind that you want to discuss, let me know and we can do that in an upcoming episode. But what I'd really love for you to do, if you want to support Fit Women's Weekly beyond just listening to this very free podcast, you can go to fitwomensweekly.com and try Fit Women's Weekly Live out for 2 weeks completely free. Fit Women's Weekly Live is my online strength training studio for women. Every single day, I put out 2 brand new workouts. You can do them live with me, or you can do them whenever you're able to do it. You don't need a lot of equipment. You just need a couple of sets of dumbbells and you can hit the ground absolutely running, transforming your body, increasing your metabolism, because we're going to be building powerful muscle along the way. And who doesn't love changing up their workouts from time to time? If you've been doing the same thing forever, then it's time for a change. Because remember, change creates change. Change creates results. So head fitwomensweekly.com and check it out. Go try it 2 weeks for free. I hope to see you in the studio. All right, guys, thank you so much. Bye.